So maybe you didn't print it off, right? Is that what it looked like?
I don't know. They changed them a little bit, but I don't
We
think.
donated some care boxes.
Most of them they deleted a little bit out. They didn't add anything.
Yeah, it should be the same one that's in there because I took it out of there to answer the questions.
I can.
Yeah, it should be the same one that's in there because I took it out of there.
That's
I don't have any.
Oh, yeah, it says it should be the same one that's 4.
But,
There.
It says we're missing page 4.
oh, yeah.
I don't know why that didn't get printed on there because it goes 3 of 5 and then it goes 5 of 5.
We get 2 of 5 either.
Yeah, they had.
We get even, 2 and 4.
Great, but it was
What was that? What it was? I didn't know.
like lunch meat or not.
You're right. It went 1, 2.
Beef sticks.
Yeah, 1, 3, 5.
Yeah.
Cereal.
I'm not sure what's going on.
Right there's
I didn't look at it till just before it came. I read it. But I hadn't-
I'm glad you did. I can go in and run off copies if you want them, or I can send them to you.
It don't matter. If it's the same one we got in our book now, it don't matter.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is. Because that's where I got all the answers that moved.
So,
Gary, I checked on that drug testing. It is $40 per person.
$40 for that goes in here. That's
Maybe
the one that we passed last month.
That's about right.
we're gonna make that change here, huh?
I think Drew was going to join too, or didn't. Okay. And if not, I can go through his stuff too. Hi, guys.
Hello.
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 Is that
Yes.
our YouTube deal then?
Well, I'm checking our volume. Are you guys able to hear us okay?
I can hear you fine. Can you hear us?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm going to change it.
Can you hear me?
Right.
Oh, I can't.
Well, it took an extra 10 minutes to go and raise my boat up about 10 times to make sure the water right.
We had our yard, our sprinklers on, and I told Cheryl, probably ought to get that turned off.
Yeah.
Maybe it gets, and it doesn't sound like any this week. Maybe by weekend it might be decent, but.
I was fishing by myself and Randy and Myron, they were fishing with Myron's boat. And I said, when we got ready to go in, I said, well, I'll see you guys in the morning, same time. I don't know if they showed up. I did.
Why the volume won't come through the projector?
Their computer fixes it out. You have like a laptop at home? who knows? They may be able to.
Oh, listen to.
Yeah.
You hear one good person talk one day and you think the world's coming down, next day they act like they're going back to work.
Being a sister. Mother-in-law was gonna go up and clean her house the next day. I was like, no, you're not. That's the only time I've ever told anybody no. You know, that's getting a little close. I mean, she didn't test positive.
You never know.
Right.
Every day, or the firemen didn't have to, just EMTs.
I didn't go.
I drove Cheryl up on Carney and all the EMTs had to test for Loomis. Yeah. We went to the fairgrounds. The National Guard were there. There were probably more state. You could have been speeding on the interstate that day.
Where was that?
They did it at the fairgrounds, and they had each town listed. So like Loomis was 9 to 9:30 or something like that. We got there a little early, and they just waved us through and stay in your car, and they came over to her side and put a swab. Put her back in there. Yeah.
Casey said he went so far back, it's not out childhood memories.
Yeah. Yeah.
He went off. He had to go up.
Days. Where they get that back.
Oh,
He
really?
mobilized
I
him.
think it's.
I
I don't know about.
He was out for 2 weeks testing.
It's kind of one
Really?
they've been saying on the radio. Anyway, it's not 3 days.
Of the 80 that were out there, 75% were positive.
Holy cow.
Thank God he was lucky. He was lucky. He was negative.
Wow. Yeah. These guys, they had all the white suits on and look, and maybe they were just college kids that were part of the National Guard. But they were college age kids and kind of dressed in UNK stuff. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they all their guard. I don't know.
Although he got the point that once you're back on there, doing that, that's their mission to take.
Oh my
Let
God.
him bring in the Colorado State Patrol and guard them because it's no weapon.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Drew.
And they're being at night. Their vehicles at night.
So our guest would be Kim Schukar's doing LEA tonight.
Oh, okay. We'll go ahead and start it with that.
Kelly.
You guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll be loud enough for you guys to hear. I tried to get it to go through that, but it won't.
And this will be on our
Yep,
Facebook.
Well, it's on the stream on YouTube right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, that's what I meant. Yep, YouTube. Yep.
Somebody give me a sound check from out there.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, sounds good.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Good.
Okay, where are we meeting?
This is the policy we passed last month, so it was,
All right, since everybody's present, we'll call the Call to order at 7:30 here. Notice of the meeting was given in advance thereof by publication in the Old Reach Daily Citizen. The school's district designated method for giving notice and posting at the Loomis Public Schools, Loomis Village Office, and Loomis Post Office. A copy of the affidavit of the publication being attached to these minutes. Notice of this meeting was given in advance and all members of the Board of Education a copy of their acknowledgement of receipt of notice. Attached to these minutes, availability of the agenda was communicated in the advance notice and in the notice to the members of this meeting. The president publicly stated in all attendance that a current copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act was available for review over here on the wall, and proceedings of the board were taken while they were convening the meeting was open to attendance of the public. Dale and Scott are via Zoom, and a motion to approve the meeting open and properly posted by the advance notice. Dwayne, is there a second?
I second.
Second by Kelly. Okay. I'd like to welcome guests. We'd like to welcome our Kim Shukar with LEA via Zoom. And we'd like to welcome guests today. As a friendly reminder, we ask that as a guest, you refrain from commenting during the discussion part of our meeting, and keep note of all of any questions or comments that you may have about the discussion items. We will welcome all your comments during the public forum section of the meeting, which will directly follow our discussion. Please note that in all times, it may be necessary to address a member of the audience during the discussion. If you are addressed by a board member, please feel free to answer the questions or provide the appropriate feedback. Thank you for attending.
And just so that everybody is aware that we will not take public comment tonight, but you can reach me at my email, sam.dunn@loomiswolves.org, or Nate Weaver, nate.weaver@loomiswolves.org, with any questions you might have.
Dustin's also here.
I'm here.
Be a guest, I don't know. I guess we really don't, our board members are all here, I guess. Don't need motion for absence. Consent agenda. Larry was able to come in this morning.
Yeah.
And Dwayne?
Dwayne, no, this too.
Okay. Sorry.
On the first page, all we got is just that there's your purpose of your transit van, the 36,333, they come out of the depreciation fund. The next page over, got all your site services. That's our half for the quarter. The Tran pays the other half.
Third. Oh, Super Train.
Okay, the next page, you got brand new diesel. You got 4 buses there. All 4 of them at different prices, but they're all service only. Service work. We have certified drug testing, LLC. 2 difference, there's 3 bus drivers in each date, one back in November and one in March. That's the 2 drivers. Halfway down, at Homes Plumbing and Heating Supply. First charge for $153.75 was for a shut-off valve in the kitchen. And the $994.67 was for a bearing and for the heating. Got 3 chargers for Jansen Chevrolet. on the different vehicles, and that was for transmission flush and a service. All of it. School law, I think you got that broken down, Gary.
Yeah, I think I do. Got, I got an email from Mr. Dunn on personnel is the first one for $94.50, and then coronavirus, there's $315 for some help there from attorneys, and then I had a telephone call, Mr. Dunn and Mr. Weaver for $235 on personnel. And then the big one here is hours driving time and meeting with the teacher union rep and Ms. Sam Dunn and we mileage was $190, hours to drive out and sit in on the meeting with 1507 for a total of $1,697. And then the one on Charlie Linder there, that was last year's bill. Haven't got one for this year.
I don't think they moved any snow this year for us.
Okay. You want to go ahead, Glenn? Okay.
I got nothing till page 7. Sport Safe Testing Service Incorporated, and that was drug testing for 10 students. Ray Stewart, tree removal, that was our half of the tree in the north plot to remove. And Kubota Ace Hardware, paint supplies, that's for the hallway by the new gym. The varnish and supplies was for the old bleachers in the old gym. That looked pretty good too.
They do.
Yeah, looked pretty nice. On page 9, Leisner Construction was the removal and the installation of 2 doors on the concession stand.
We paid him the first portion, hadn't we, for, yeah, the fence and the door in the quad.
And FLL floors to repair and install a volleyball sleeves, that was the special building fund. All I got here.
So as of April, we're there's a year, so we're probably, so if you go through your expenditures here, page 4, if it's 67% or less, means we're right up. If it's 67%, we're right on budget. If it's less than that, we're below budget. If we're over that, it's over the 67%, we're over budget. And then that's the 2 columns that I look at is percent of budget and then the balance. So you guys might go through there and take a quick look at them sometime, because that'll give you your 2/3 of the year that you're done. So you got a third left to go. So those will be changing now, and Sam will be probably working on the budget. So we'll get that. Then if you go to page 3 there, right after the blue page, gives all the balances. Lunch is in really good shape, as you can see there, 20,000, and 7,000 out of the depreciation fund. We're still at $1,030,302. So all those, everything showed good there. Are you working on the budget for next year, little
I
Sam?
just told Nate that once we get all of our employees hired, that'll give me an idea of what we're gonna have to pay,
Yeah.
so.
Then maybe we'll have a meeting after the board meeting in May, probably.
Yeah, maybe in June or something,
Yeah, I
get
think
some kind of idea, direction, or May.
May, maybe. What do you guys think? Quicker we get it done, we'll give it, especially since school's out, you ought to be able to.
Yeah.
The expense side for the.
Yep.
That's all there is there.
Suzanne? Motion to approve the consent agenda. Motion by Gary. Is there a second? Who seconds it? How do you vote? Kelly?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Dwayne?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Yes.
Alan? Yes. Drew?
Okay, we'll go through board committee reports. I have nothing on negotiation and Americanism. You'll notice in your packet that there is a school wellness policy. Every 3 years, we have to update that and fill it out for NDE. It is also on our website as well. Gary pointed out in the packet, pages 2 and 4, that even numbered pages didn't come out. So I will resend that to you guys with all of the pages intact. And again, like I said, it was just a form I had to fill out with NDE and get it updated and put on our website. So that's been taken care of. Building, grounds, and transportation. And again, you heard, and I think Nate sent you out pictures. The transit van is here. It's pretty nice. I think it'll do exactly what we were thinking and hoping that we'd be able to get out of that. If you have a chance and you want to stop by and look at it, it is in the shed outside there, and so feel free to stop in and we can get it out if you want to even take it for a drive. It has the automatic 4-wheel drive on it that kicks in automatically. We do have to take one jump seat out, so we have room for 10 passengers and a driver. Anything else on that, or that probably stole your thunder? You're probably gonna.
Yeah, I was gonna touch on it. I did find the excerpt from the NDE about having the 10 passengers, so I just printed that off.
Other item on building, grounds, and transportation. I sent out the bid that Drew got for us from FLR Sanders. As you know, they will do our gym floor this summer and then finish the secondary gym. We were looking at maybe doing the stage, and so I had him get a quote. The quote was the same with the water base and oil base, $4,271. That was a 30 by 50 space area. Apparently at one time or another, Chuck used to do parts of it or did it all. We haven't done anything since I've been here. My thought with that is we could probably still do it. And I think I explained that in the email that, we could have Chuck continue to do it. We take the chance of not matching up the finish, or we get the same finish that they have. Personally, I think if we decide that we want to get it done, to have those guys do it, they're probably much better at bagging the curtains, and they would have the equipment to suck up the dust with it. And I think initially in the packet, I'd said that we thought it would be $500 less by going with an oil base, and that wasn't the case. It was $4,271 irregardless. So that's something that'll be up for a bid for an action item later on. And I guess we can have some discussion about it. Again, we could always table it. I think by tabling it, then that puts us further behind in them coming in to do the gym floor.
I think we want to do it now, so maybe there's a chance with all the schools being closed, these guys might get here earlier than we expect. If we're going to do it, I think that might not.
Okay.
And then back on policy, the coaches had a recommendation. They had the option 1 or option 2. You want us to three guys get
We
together on that?
we will meet with that. I know Drew is going to talk about that in his portion.
Okay.
That was a coach's
Right.
suggestion.
Right. And if we said he asked for
Yep, we'll have one either Zoom or we'll have, via the email or however the
Okay.
best way we can.
All right.
Um,
I just
yeah.
seen it said that we should meet or something like that.
Some non policy.
It's Scott and you and Dale, I believe, isn't it?
Okay.
So we could probably Zoom that out too, Scott and Dale.
Yeah. I didn't hear completely what Gary was talking about.
It was our drug policy. I know, Drew will have some recommendations or some things that he'll talk about, and that's one of them. I know Nate, has a few policy or a few, things to bring up about the drug policy as well.
Okay.
In your booklet here, a letter from Drew.
What do you say? Gary needs to speak up.
It's in your booklet towards the back, a letter from Drew. That
Oh, yeah,
option 1, option 2, or whatever.
right. I seen that. Yep.
Can you hear everybody else all right, or?
Yeah, I can hear Alan.
Okay.
I haven't heard Kelly say anything yet too much.
So any discussion on the stage, before we go on? And again, I hopefully send it out soon enough that you could get a look at it if it's something you want to do.
I guess when I called, talked to Scott about it a little bit, and I talked to Dwayne, when we called to line up to go over the bills. I think I'm personally, I'm for having them.
During the stage. Do you have any idea what it cost us for the roughly? Is it $1,000 or?
I would say it's probably going to be half to 3,000. I mean, when we start talking hours,
Right.
that Chuck would put
I mean,
into
I'm
it.
just trying to.
I
It's
think we
probably
could
a
probably
better
save
deal.
$1,200 if we did it ourselves.
Sanders and stuff too.
He says we have a sander to do it, but I don't know if that.
The water base on the stage, not much traffic, and that should last a lot longer than gym floor, correct?
I would say we'll never have to touch it again. Heidi, do you happen to remember if they've done that you can remember?
They used to do all the wood floors in the old building, so I suppose they did that one at the same time.
So we're guessing it's been quite some time since they have done the stage. There are some gouges in it. Yeah, I don't think we'd ever have to do it again, but that's saying that, and then if we drop something on it, or
Not as critical there as it would be.
Right,
Gym floor either,
yeah.
but
and do you prefer oil or water?
I think the water base
Water.
will be,
We're doing water on the
Okay.
gym, so.
make it pop out better, I think.
The suggestion that Drew and I had too was, if they did the light color like they did the floor, sometimes at the Christmas program, it's kind of hard to see back. Some of those, I would hope that it would lighten it up, but. So we'd probably go with the same match of the gym floor. Anything, Scott or Dale, on that?
I think it's a good idea to have them do it while they're there, and I think it definitely needs it. So I'd be all for it.
Okay. Dale, anything?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with professionals doing it. That way everything be done at the same time, on the same time frame.
Okay, we'll move on to the preschool advisory. Keith did. $2,000 was the last time it was done. Nate got a hold of Keith, so. Preschool advisory decided not to charge for the month of April and to refund those who paid in advance. Some of our families pay for a month in advance. Some of them pay for half years, and those that have paid that, Heidi will refund them and then not charge any of the others that, since we didn't have any preschool in April. So, administrative reports, Nate, do you want to, maybe you can want to slide over so they can hear you too, or talk really loud, maybe, I don't.
I can talk loud. Packets e-learning, the next round will go out the 17th and the 20th. Teachers have been coming in, making copies. Parents have been helping them make copies. Office people have been helping them make copies. Some teachers have Zoomed with their students. Others have created instructional videos. And most are emailing, primarily the junior high and high school are emailing their students. Lower level elementary is using packets. Middle and upper level classes are using packets and some digital educational things. And then upper level is using some digital things as well. We've loaned out devices to the students that have needed them. High school students are staying on top of the recommended work for the most part. There's a handful of junior high and high school students that are not keeping up or are needing some motivation to get some work done. Then we've been having scheduled Zoom meetings with the teachers and discussing what's working and what isn't working. So right now we'll do 3 weeks on Friday. We'll hand out, and then that will leave us 2 weeks at the end of the year to finish up with. Any questions on that?
Are we gonna stop doing lunches on May 20th, or is it keep going, or what is it?
I assume we'll stop on May 20th. I guess we have, do we have clearance in to do summer? Or was that just emergency? I don't think we have clearance to do it.
I know some schools do it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we did or not.
And to do that, you had to meet like 50% free and reduced.
So
And
we want to do that,
Yeah.
so that we won't have, May 20th will be our last.
yep, that week, yep.
Just curious, how many iPads did you have to send out? Roughly 5 or 25?
About 10, I think, 10 or 12
And did
Probably a
every
few more.
a little higher than
in
that?
elementary.
Yeah, because Jenny sent quite a few Chromebooks too.
And then we had some that Nate and I went and picked up
Yeah.
for kids. Maybe 20, 25.
At the
So how
most.
many did not have internet, or did we have any issues with that? Yeah, nothing, zero issues.
Pretty minor.
I mean, the issues you're talking about, Dust, are like slow internet, no
There's some that like live in the country that it's a little
slow.
slow
but
and clunky,
everybody-
but I think the ones that didn't have it maybe went ahead and got it right away. I don't know.
I think that and maybe I'm wrong, but have they struggled a little bit with the ATC? Is that who does the country?
ATC, it's good. It's just whatever, how many you pay for the megabytes.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh.
no, it's not good, because if you're in the country, it depends if you're on the line that has the
So it is a little slow then.
So it depends where you're at.
Kids morning and evening, you can't hardly do it. I
Because
mean, that's when that's when they do it early morning or late at night, during the day.
it's all busy.
Right.
And it's just because of the sheer volume,
Yep,
the number of
exactly.
people using it.
Yep.
It's, yeah.
FKC principals have been meeting once a week on Zoom meetings. That's just basically discussing ideas, talking about what's working, thoughts for future, and trying to be united when we make decisions as a conference. It's been good. Bus driver evals are all finished. I plan to meet with them when I see them here in the building. Then the last thing I have is bus report. Sam touched on the van. Fred Brown will come pick that up. He'll send me a mock-up of what the decals that we kind of talked about putting on it, and I'll send them out. You know, you guys can give me your opinions there. And then he would just take that up to his business and put those on there. Bus 18 is finished with the warranty work that was done in Alda, and then bus 16 is finished with the work done. They had some computer work to do to it in Omaha, so it is finished, and we'll organize the time to pick that up. And then the last thing I had, I don't know if Sam mentioned it, the YMCA contacted me about possibly renting a bus this summer. My thoughts are with the new buses to not let them use our new ones. But we do have 05 and 03. You know, if that's something, the direction we wanted to go, they have field trips in the summer. We would be willing to employ our drivers to drive. They would cover all expenses and possibly pay mileage if that's the direction we want to go, or we could say no, it's up to you guys. But they go to Aurora, North Platte, Hastings, Kearney, and Lexington for field trips, and that's if they can have them. But they had fundraisers scheduled to try to buy a new bus, and with everything that's happened, they had to go to Plan B. I've talked to Mike and Tom. They said depending on the dates, they would be interested in helping.
I guess I would, me personally, I wouldn't have any problem doing it as long as it's our driver.
Right. It just makes me nervous with the newer buses and kids that don't come to school here, but
I wouldn't give them the new buses.
that it might be good for those older buses to get some miles put on them just because they sit so much.
Yeah, it's saying get the cobwebs out.
And you know, if they're going to cover expenses, a good way to get miles on them. But
Any thoughts, Scott or Dale, on that?
Yeah, as long as our own bus drivers are running them, I would say I wouldn't have a problem with it. They would know how to take care of them, make sure they're in good condition when they come back.
One thing we might check with our insurance company, make sure that we can claim it,
Okay.
or who has the insurance.
That was going to be my suggestion is where does our liability insurance kick in on that? I mean, I don't have a problem with renting it to somebody else, but probably better check and make sure that's okay with our insurance carrier on those.
Yep, I can do that.
What do we do with Tom? Because isn't he renting one?
He has
Well,
his own insurance.
he has his own insurance on that.
That's why, yeah. I mean,
So they would have to have proof of insurance for
yeah,
it.
they would have the insurance on them. So,
Yep. So that might be something to check, Nate, with the Y.
One bus a trip, basically.
Well, we think we don't know the numbers yet, do we, for sure?
yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know, but
that'd be one, if that.
I have no idea.
I mean, 05, I think, is 56 passengers. So,
I can have no idea.
Nate, you go to the Rotary meetings, or you get help with the Rotary meetings, or you saying?
I haven't, no.
I see we're still members, so maybe that'd be something we ought to think about sending one of you guys or even Drew if we're members. I'm sure they're not meeting now, but
Right.
if they ever started.
Right.
So the board is a Rotary member?
They have paid for an administrator to be a member in the Rotary.
Oh, there you go.
In this month's bills, if you look, I can't remember what it was. It's not a lot, but
400, I think, for meals. And yeah, one of the three of us could probably make it over there.
if they start having them.
Yeah.
be something that we need to add anything about inspections. I mean, would they need to pay for the inspection then? Or we just rent it to them for cost or per mile?
I just ran into
Like the walk around inspection.
Like the 90-day inspection.
What did those cost us? Do you remember?
They're $75 plus whatever they have to put in,
I'd say let them pay the 75.
or 125.
We have to have them inspected either way. I think, I mean, I would just rent it. I wouldn't charge them that. If we have to have it inspected whether we use it or not, right?
Right.
Yeah, cause I mean, it has to be ready to go for us for the week. So I assume we'd have it inspected.
Per mile, or is it just a flat rate?
I think just use a reasonable flat rate. Just keep it simple. That's my 2 cents.
You know, have they ever done this in the past? Yes.
Both contacted our drivers to see if they would drive, but I don't know if they do these.
Okay.
Our drivers on top of that.
NDE was?
They're all about the same.
NDE's 55 cents.
IRS is 58. That's 90 miles. I mean. Oh, good.
We probably got kids.
That's what I would do. That's what I would do, but
I mean, they're not gonna run anything else any cheaper
Right.
than that.
$60 a trip.
I mean,
That sound good to you guys? $50 a trip if insurance and everything's covered? North Platte's about the farthest they're going, right?
$50 a round trip.
Yeah.
If they blow a tire or something, they pay for it.
That's blow one tire, $50 won't cover that, but
So they recover all expenses from the answer.
They're covering all.
yeah, I mean, blowing the cobwebs out.
We take.
Have
one
Kelly
week
drive
and-
one so it gets to 80 and gets it.
Do we get, figure out the insurance and go from there?
yeah, I would say so.
By May, you know, they ain't gonna need it before then, I wouldn't think.
What did Tom do last year when he took the one to Kansas City or wherever they went?
His church had the insurance on it, Scott.
Okay, so as long as they'd have the insurance, we should be fine there. And then what did we charge him last year? Did we charge him anything?
50 for the trip.
250? Which that's a little further than.
Yeah.
And we filled it with gas and he had it full when he brought it back.
That's correct.
Kansas City, 250 miles.
I think that'd be fine as long as they're using our drivers.
I would agree. That leaves us a little bit of out too, as far as if another entity would ask. We have our drivers that will drive it. That's the way we would rent it out, so. And you'll check into that, Nate? Yep. Okay, I have a few things. So I met with the senior parents the other day. It was a good meeting. I felt like we all were able to walk away with a little bit of salvaging of the year. I feel extremely sorry for our seniors and what they're missing out on, and we miss them here as well. And so they'd asked that they could get pictures taken on May 9th on the stage, holding their diploma with using our backdrop that we have. And that was kind of out of necessity for the yearbook. Otherwise, our annuals would be complete with everything except for that. And so I felt like that was a winnable. That's something I think we can do. Alan brought up the idea, if we're going to Zoom everybody next month, you know, do we really want to bring somebody in? And if we do, we just bring in the parents. You know, that's something that we can look at as well. You know, I think walking them in up to the stage in their gown and cap, holding their diploma, and then getting them out of here. You know, I think we can do that fairly quick. I would say, like Alan said, parents only, come in, take the picture. Or some parents, I would think they would come in to take their child's picture, but you never know. So, and then we looked at going on August 1st, which is a Saturday, and depending on what the Department of Health is requirements are, that it would be outside at the football field. You know, again, planning for 10 at the max, putting different places down to have it. We would do it mid-morning, and if it was forecast for rain, we would move it to Friday morning, I think is what we said, Nate, is that correct? And if that still didn't work, we could do a late Sunday evening one. They were all aware that there's a good chance it could be hot out there. And so we think we'll be able to pull it off. Again, I don't want to jeopardize the school with the number of people that they have there. And I will make that known as well when we know what our recommendations are. But there are a lot of different solutions schools doing. I see Red Cloud graduated last week. I'm not sure, they probably have similar to us number wise as far as seniors. Elwood is going to do something in front of their school on their graduation date. Southern Valley has a whole schedule that they're postponed it to July, and then 2 weeks later in July, and then finally I think at the beginning of August. So there are a lot of different solutions out there, and I guess mainly I felt it was fair to our seniors and our parents to get us a date set instead of saying, well, you know, we know we're not going to be able to do it on the 9th, a full-fledged graduation. You know, there are a lot of invitations that I'm sure they want to send out and receptions that they want to get planned. So we'll plan on May 9th for pictures, and then August 1st for the graduation. And I'll keep you abreast of what that will look like. Whether we'll have the board president there and myself and Nate and Whitney, or how we'll do that, but we'll get that planned. We do have a sound system out there that we can use, and we'll just go from there. We did discuss prom, but it was kind of secondary to graduation. And basically, I came away from that feeling like if there was going to be anything with the prom, that it was going to be parent sponsored, because it doesn't look like we'll have anything until May. And, you know, I'm sure our sponsors wouldn't mind helping. You know, we would certainly show up and help, but that it just seems secondary to the parents. Their main goal was, you know, let's get them graduated, and I agree, they deserve it. They put in the time. So
Did you have about everybody there for parents?
we had 5 parents at the meeting, 5, and then we Zoomed 3 others, and then we had 4 on a shared on a phone call. So yes, all 12. All 12 were represented.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. That's all
Yeah.
I was making sure.
And then Mr. Weaver is going to do a senior spotlight that he'll send out on our social media, getting to know the seniors, picture of them, and a little bit of bio and information about them on Twitter and on Facebook. So any questions about the graduation?
This just came to me. If you're using the backdrop, do they even need to come in the school? If it's nice enough, can we set it up outside?
We could set it up outside.
You know.
Yeah, I don't know why not. And realistically, we wouldn't have to do 5 o'clock. I mean, we could set that time and do it, you know, mid-morning or
Right.
or
5 o'clock, you'd have the shadows.
it might be a little cooler on the east side, but
Better picture or something.
yeah.
I just thought of that.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. I think more than anything, they wanted to have representation in the annual.
And I agree. That's,
Yeah.
we don't have any seniors going to the military?
No,
Okay. Because I know that's for other schools, why some are
correct,
leaning towards going to not wait until July or August.
correct, yep. Yeah, I don't know if Red Cloud did and why they had it in this early in April, but they had it last Saturday. And they had a nice day down there. It was all outside, but. Anything on this, on the graduation?
Sounds good to me.
And obviously, we all realize that we've had some sportsmanship issues throughout this school year and even in past years. Mr. Weaver and I at this point are looking at procedure policy. Now, I wouldn't say it's necessarily board policy, but procedure and expectations of how our fans behave at games. We plan to share that on the night that we deploy our one-to-one iPads and the night we do our drug policy in August. So every parent is there. Every parent gets it. We will meet with the coaches when they have their parent meeting and be there to answer any questions. And so as we go forward with this expectations, as we get them and we write those in, we'll share them with you. I don't think it needs to be a lifetime ban, but I do think that there needs to be something. And I think everybody needs to know and that it's in place and that that we're going to honor it. I know Southern Valley put one in. A friend of mine down there got suspended 4 games. And he initially said, well, it wasn't just 4 games at Southern Valley, but it was for the next 4 games. It was when they were on the road too. You know, we don't have as much control, but I can sure make a call to any of the superintendents and say this fan is not allowed, or we haven't allowed them in our games. And so probably wouldn't be a good thing if you let them into yours. So, and
one thing I think, 98% of our fans are real good fans.
I would agree.
I think we need to be a little bit careful when we do this, that we don't offend these 98% of our great Loomis fans for 4 or 5 people that cause problems. So I just think we need to keep that in mind when we do this.
Yeah.
We don't want those people at the game, and we can ask them to leave. But I think we need to be very careful because we don't want to come out like all our fans are bad.
No, and they're not.
4 or 5 people.
You're right. You percentage wise, you're right, Gary, that our fans are.
I think we got great fans. Maybe nobody agrees with me, but I think we do. And I think we just need to be careful when we write this stuff up that we don't make it like we're chewing out the fans.
Yeah, like we're alienating.
I think, if somebody, I know when the referees have threw somebody out of the game, they came back the next game and have pretty well behaved themselves. Yeah. So I think if we could do that, if you give them, say, hey, you got to leave the game. If you do this again, you might not be coming back at all.
Right.
I don't think we want to. That's just my personal opinion. Maybe the other 5 people feel different, but I just don't want to alienate.
I would agree. I would agree. And again, it's the negative ones that are getting the attention right now. And
there's 4 or 5. Some years it's the same guys. Some years it's different people, and it's just they get carried away because some of them their kids are playing.
Yep. I would agree. I would agree. We had a couple situations this year with some where we had officials talking to Mr. Weaver and myself after games, and that.
Yeah, I'm not saying that we shouldn't do something, but I just want to be careful.
Yep.
That we treat our good fans right.
Yeah, very good.
But we have to have guidelines.
Right.
I think it starts at the parent meetings, and
It starts with the coaches too.
right.
And the coach has got to discipline a player. If they display unsportsmanlike conduct, they get yanked out for a certain amount of time. I don't care how good they are. They get taken out of the game. It's got to start there with family and the kids.
Anybody else, anything? We'll share it with you. I've asked Southern Valley to get me theirs. Nate has asked, St. Paul to get theirs. And we'll sit down and come up with what we feel are decent expectations. You know, and I've said, I get it. I coached for a lot of years and you know, the thing is referees expect some of that. But if you continue to ride them up and down the court over the same thing, then that's where you draw the line. Or you use profanity, or you taunt the other side of the crowd. That's not good.
I'm not saying that we should put up with
Yes.
anything against the referees, but I want to do it so we're not making it sound like everybody's.
Right. Yep, I would agree. I would agree because we do have good fans.
I would agree with what Gary's saying. I like the idea of making it like more of a procedure. This is kind of our protocol. I'm not sure I'd agree with making it policy. Just with the fact that then I guess I like the idea of you and Nate having some flexibility in how you handle things. If we make it policy, then it's
right.
I think that takes away anything that you guys would be able to do. And, you know, like we talked this year, let's say we had 5 fans that every one of them deserved to sit out 4 games. And then you got the one random person that was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And now they've got to sit out 4 games because it's policy and that's just the way it is. And I'm sorry, there's no excuse and you're stuck with it.
I think I would call it our fan expectation.
Yeah, I like that.
That sounds good.
And we announce it every night before every game.
I know we do, but we need to even maybe if we hear somebody's doing it, it's a school board member, maybe we need to go and say.
Yeah, or get a hold of us and, you know, we can go.
Or just say, hey, that happened. They hear you say that, you're going to be gone.
Yeah.
Have you talked to Holbridge, how they do theirs? They got some card system or something.
I know that Minden had one similar to that, Dale. They had what was called a yellow card.
Yeah.
That
You get warned and then boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, you know, a couple years back, I had to deal with some fans and I visited with them before and the thing that our kids don't get, if you know, and again, I've seen a lot of games, but as these fans get agitated at the officials, that heightens our kids is playing. I mean, it becomes, they display negativity playing out there.
Right, because they hear that and they think the
Yeah.
referees must be bad. No referee, I don't think, ever goes in to try to beat somebody, or like no coach ever goes out tries to lose.
Right.
No referee ever goes out
Yeah.
to try to decide who wins the game.
So I think we'd like to come up with 5 expectations, and again, it would start with a warning. And again, I think like Nate and I have discussed that it would start with us discussing with the parents. Hey, we want you to be here and watch. You know, that there's no better joy than watching the kids participate, but you got to have a role. Your role is a spectator.
Yeah, we want positive things said, not negative, and the positive things are good.
Yeah.
The negative things against the coaches, players, and referees are all 3 bad.
Yep.
And I hear, you know, I've heard all those.
Yep. I would agree, Gary. So, okay. And then last thing I have on there is May board meeting. I don't know how the Zoom is going for you guys. If it seems to be going all right, and if that's something that we want to continue, and I guess we'll just play that by ear and see if we can't do a blended one again, or if we want to truly do a complete Zoom is fine too. And I think we could probably have Nate and I and Heidi here, or even Heidi, could you Zoom and still do your recording it? Yeah, so.
It's delayed. It is delayed about 8 to 10 seconds.
Yeah, so it'd probably be the 2 administrators and Heidi, and then if you guys felt like you wanted to Zoom, and if you didn't, we could, it's pretty easy to get on and go once you have done it. If
I think having the blended thing like you did tonight is very good. It gives everybody an option. If they want to stay home and Zoom, they can. If they
Okay,
like
well-
me and hate Zoom,
Yeah,
then they can come.
we'll just play May by what gets dictated to us. How about that?
Yeah, yeah. The only thing I noticed is the people further away from the microphone, it's harder to hear.
Dale?
I said the further away from the microphone, it's harder to hear them talk, you know.
Hey, what I said, the blended thing we did tonight was it gives the option to everybody. So if you want to Zoom, you can Zoom, but if you want to come, you can come. Just like
Yeah, I don't have problems. If you're wanting to come in there, that's fine. I just didn't want to. Well, I wanted to keep my social distancing. I've been doing it for 3-4 weeks. I don't want to break my routine.
Okay, I'll turn it over then to AD to Mr. Billiter.
Can everybody hear me okay now?
Yep.
I guess my first take on the sportsmanship. In 2019, our boys basketball, when we were down at state, we got second in the sportsmanship out of 8 teams. This year in 2019, our girls received 3rd place out of 8. So I guess I just wanted to share a couple of those stats as reminders to you. We also got, we were invited back to the Heartland Hoops Classic again. And I know that when you get invited back to that, they want teams that are well represented from their fans and community. And I feel we are very well represented. I think we have great fans. And I feel that that's a big reason why we were invited back to the Heartland Hoops Classic. So that's my take on that. Of course, everybody knows I sent out that letter. For those of you guys that are maybe watching, I'll go through some of the things I talked about. All the NSA spring sports activities are canceled. We're waiting on summer activities to hear back from, of course, higher up people on what we can do for summer. We had a basketball camp that was supposed to be on May 31st and they canceled that. There was the Cambridge All-Star game that was canceled. So anything through May 31st has been canceled. We're waiting to hear on June. As far as the activities banquet, we will be making a program, and the program will have all the write-ups just like normal. We will also send out voting for the athletic king and queen and their attendance. I would like to have them come in and have a picture for the annual, just like we're talking for the seniors. Along with the activities banquet, we'll put a program in each person's packet. Every year we make a packet for every student, or no matter what they get. So we'll put a program in there, and that program will include, or their packet will include their program, their letters, certificates, pins, awards. Everything will be in there for them to pick up. We'll have them sometime in May. For building and grounds, I did contact Kurt Nelson from FLR and see if he could come in earlier to try and get our floors done. Just in case maybe July we could get back in there for team activities. They have things scheduled right now and he doesn't have an answer for me yet. So he's looking at their schedule and where he can go. So as soon as I have any information, I will pass that on to everybody else. I have completed all the head coach and sponsor observations. I've emailed those out to everybody. I've received 2 of them back from head coaches, so I will stay on top of them to get those signed and back, and I will file those. I'm also trying to update our activities handbook so it matches our student handbook and our policies. Over the last couple of years with things getting changed with new administration, I just need to update that activities handbook so that we can hand those out. Like I said, when Mr. Dunn was talking about our drug testing, when the parents come in and when he wants to meet, I will try and have an activities handbook for him. The activities handbook is going to be in line with our policies and our student handbook. It'll just only have activities information in there and things that might pertain just to activities, not everything else with school. Right before school was out, I met with all the head coaches and we talked about a few things. Lettering with our spring sports being canceled. Speech, they are far enough in. Mrs. Marcy thought that she could use what they've done so far to qualify who's lettered. I'm leaving it up to Mrs. Rodenbaugh and her coaches to determine who will letter for boys and girls track. They did have a meeting already, so she knows who was going to go out. But I'm leaving that up to her on who she wants to letter. It could be whoever lettered from last year. It could be everybody that was going to go out. And same thing for golf. I talked to Gene, and he's going to be doing the same thing. A couple other things we talked about was pep rallies, just getting it so it's a little bit more clear and concise on how pep rallies are going to work. I talked with Mr. Dunn about this. We're going to try and have one for each season. So for the fall, winter, and spring season, along with homecoming, just kind of clarified it for everybody, and I'll try and put that into our activities handbook so everybody knows. We also probably spent most of our time in regards to the drug policy. We talked about this just because this was implemented this year and it does affect activities more than anything else in the school, I would say. There was a lot of different discussions on what is right, what is, everybody has a different length of season. When students are suspended, it affects students differently depending on, volleyball is different than one act. So I tried to take everybody's opinions and ideas and try and put them into a couple different options. We all agree that head coaches and sponsors, we all agree that the drug testing is good. We think it has been effective in what it was in place to do, which was to get rid of any type of drugs or nicotine or tobacco out of the school, which I think that has worked. We're all in favor of it. After seeing how it's all panned out this year, I guess we did feel that sometimes the punishment might be a little bit too harsh. So we did come up with two different options. These are just our opinions. We're not saying you have to do any of these. But to summarize option number one, right now, it carries over. You guys all understand the policy because you created it, but we just didn't feel that carrying over the policy, we would like that removed. So if a student was caught or tested positive as a freshman, they sit their 4 public performances, and then as a sophomore, then it would restart. So if they were tested as a sophomore, it wouldn't be their second offense, it would actually be their first offense. Option 2 is just to reduce how fast it accumulates up. So it would start off with the first offense would be 2 public performances, and then 4, and then 8, and it would include carryover. So if a student was tested positive as a freshman, he would sit 2 public performances, and as a junior, if he got caught again, it would go to 4. So those were just 2 options that we came up with, and I can speak with the policy committee about that if they would like more, but that's pretty much some ideas that we had. Once again, we think it's a good thing for our kids. We think it has helped minimize the students that are using, so we are in favor of it. We would just maybe like it tweaked a little bit. And that's all I have for you guys. So does anybody have any questions for me in regards to anything? And I can answer those if you do.
I guess as part of the policy committee, what would you say the consensus from the coaches would be as far as what they'd like to see with that drug testing policy? I mean, I know you gave us a couple options, but what do you think the majority of the coaches would want out of that?
Well, we talked about different scenarios that happen, and it's different for every coach. We talked about having it be 2 weeks in comparison to amount of public performances, but it just affects everybody so differently, depending on how many activities you have in a week or how many different things a student is in. Me personally, I guess and from some of the other people that talked, eliminating the carryover would maybe be a good thing. I think we would live with either option, but I think trying to get rid of the carryover. So if a student tests positive as a freshman and he doesn't do anything wrong until he's a senior, I think that it's done well for it. So, instead of having him sit 8 contests, which, could take you out of a full track season, golf season, wrestling season. Some of the things we thought of is if that student gets in trouble that second time and he has to miss an entire season, what is he probably going to do once he doesn't have those activities? His attendance is going to go down. His behavior is going to be worse. He might start using even more. So we want to keep these kids in activities. But we also understand they need to be punished for, or have consequences. But I would say option 1 would be my first preference.
Thanks.
Anybody else in regards to that? And I know when we meet specifically as a policy group, Nate has some input from the students themselves. And so we'll share that with you. And matter of fact, if we get it typed up, we can get a meeting set sometime. Maybe we can get that before the guys get in the field and get too busy. And then we would have all summer to tweak it if we need to meet everybody's.
We have some other possibilities for cheaper routes too. To discuss them.
Okay, anything else for Drew? Thank you, Mr. Billiter.
Okay. I guess really the only guess is Dustin to have anything, or Kim? You have anything with LEA? Okay. Anybody need a recess? Okay.
Knock them out.
All right. We'll move into the action agenda items then. Go one at a time on it, or
Yeah.
Okay. Accept the resignation letter for Stacia Burdick. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion if we get, accept the resignation letter.
Okay, I got a motion from Dwayne. Is there a second?
I'll say.
Gary seconds. How do you vote, Gary?
Yes.
Dwayne?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Dale?
Yes.
Alan? Yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Okay. We'll approve the contract for Ashley Stutzman, the 7 to 12 English teacher.
Yes, well, and she'll do some extra curricular duties for us too, speech and one act. Yep.
All right, is there a motion? I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
That's
Scott seconded it. Good boy. How do you vote? Dwayne?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Dale?
Yes.
Alan? Yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Okay, approve the contract for Lindsay Palmer, 3rd grade teacher. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Dale makes a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Kelly seconds. How do you vote? Scott?
Yes.
Dale?
Yes.
Alan? Yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Dwayne?
Yes.
Okay,
One of the Spanish teacher, how are you coming on that?
We are visiting with a gal tomorrow at 11:15.
And then is Shelby Anderson, is that?
That's Clinton Anderson's wife, yes.
Okay,
The science
that's
teacher.
what I was wondering. Okay.
So is it that same one teacher or you got a different? For the Spanish?
Different one from Spanish.
Okay. How many Spanish kids do we, or have kids that are second? Their first language is Spanish.
First year class is big.
First year class will have a dozen in it.
Our first year class is
14, yeah.
So-
Second year, probably 8, and then sometimes Spanish 3 might have, well, 3, maybe 2. Some years we may not.
And we have quite a few Spanish kids that's first language is Spanish now instead of English.
We have not had any new ones, no, but we do have some in the elementary, so they would still do our migrant program.
I think it's important that we get a Spanish teacher. Now, Mrs. Marcy was full-time, and you're looking for a half-time or full-time, or what are you?
Well, I'm not sure we can hire somebody
I
half-time,
don't
that's the
think
thing.
we can
Mrs. Marcy was part-time, 7th and 8th grade, language, arts, and reading. Roxanne had some 7th grade reading. And then Mrs. Marcy did speech as well. And then she had 2 periods of Spanish, Spanish 1, Spanish 2. And then she had worked with our Hispanic students.
But you are trying to get a part-time in Spanish? You just don't think it'll be able?
I don't think we'll be able to get one.
Spanish teachers are in demand. I think if we can get one, and they want full-time, I think we better get a full-time and find some other classes.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
And that's what we have discussed, is that we would find some, we would fill out their schedule and make them full-time. No, I'm glad, I meant to do that on my superintendent's report, but.
Okay, action agenda, back to approve the contract for Shelby Anderson as a 5th grade teacher. Is there a motion? Dwayne makes a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Kelly seconds. How do you vote? Dale?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Dwayne?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Alan, yes. Okay. Graduation. Resolution for the graduation.
That was a resolution that I shared with you,
Right.
giving us.
It's on the last page of the packet there, basically. Is there a motion to approve or any discussion on that?
I'd make a motion to approve it.
Gary makes a motion. Is there a second? I'll second that. How do you vote? Kelly?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Dwayne?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Dale?
Yes.
Alan, yes.
We have one more we need to approve. We had the $4,271 to the stage from FLR seniors, is that right?
Yep. On the back sheet there. I think.
Yep.
Make that motion.
Okay, Gary makes a motion for FLR Sanders.
Hey, what fund is going on? Special or depreciation or?
Depreciation.
Okay. And then too, if we do the gym floor, we're gonna take that out. That's gonna come out of depreciation also. Okay. That way Heidi knows.
Yes,
sir.
We talked about that this morning, maybe to clarify.
They're just asking which fund. It'll come out of the depreciation fund for the stage. You got the motion wrote up, Heidi. Gary made that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second
I'll
it.
second that.
I think I heard Dale first.
You got it.
Okay, how do you vote? Gary?
Yes.
Dwayne?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Dale?
Yes.
Alan, yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Okay. Motion passed. Looking for a closed session. Next meeting is May 11th,
May 11th.
7:30.
What about then we'll try to have
Policy here sometime in April,
and then maybe in May, have a budget workshop.
into May.
Okay, and
Or
after the board meeting. One other thing, are the janitors on the 40-hour, 10-hour day now, 4 days, or how are you doing that?
Well, we've agreed to pay them, so,
Yeah, right.
yes, most of the time they're not in here on Friday.
They're just working 10 hours, 4 days. That's good. you know, and I think we will pay them too if they have, something happens, the governor puts a stop work.
Yeah.
Or some, they get quarantined for some reason, they get paid, but I just wanted, I noticed, I didn't see anybody cars here Friday, so I assumed they were.
Yeah, well, that was Good Friday, so.
Oh,
I forgot all that.
I think most of that.
Hey, Melanie's been coming
Out
at
of it.
7. I know Melanie's been coming at 7. I think.
Yeah, I think.
I assume they were doing their 10-hour deal.
Yeah. And if we have an arrangement that we're getting a shipment or something, then CJ or got to come back and help her.
I think, you know, that sounds good to me, the way you're doing 4 days. You know,
Yeah.
Then they get 3-day weekends. So
Okay, if nothing else, meeting is adjourned. No worries.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, thanks, Alan, for running the meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Dale, Scott, do I have your permission to stamp all the checks for you?
Did you, Dale and Scott,
Yeah?
What was that?
Heidi wants permission to stamp all the checks for you.
Oh, yes, yeah.
You don't want to stand? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Heidi.
Thanks, Dustin.
Yes, see ya.
Yep, thank you.
Well, Camry.